Welcome. Today's Vinyasa flow is designed to mellow out your mind and strengthen and stretch your entire body. So embrace the polarities of creating equal stretch and equal strength. And as always, meeting yourself where you are. Let's start lying down on your mat. Have the knees bent, feet as wide as the mat, knees resting in towards each other. Placing your hands on the lowest part of your belly, or one hand on your heart, one on your belly. As a gesture for having the strength and enthusiasm to show up on your mat today, let's start off with some self-acknowledgement. Allowing the ground to support you and checking in. Noticing how the breath is flowing within you. How is your life force flowing within you? Noticing without any judgments, without any expectations, where the breath is more easeful, where it is not as easeful. With all that goes on during the day, we could all use a little extra checking in. Finding power in the pause, so you can move with truth and integrity, meeting yourself where you are by first checking in. And then release your arms by your sides, windshield wiper your knees side to side. Pausing as the knees lower to the side, enough that you may feel a stretch in the front of the hip, front of the thigh, side to side. Love starting on the ground as a way to check in with all the places and spaces, how our parts are moving, how we are being and moving in a supported place, a supported, safe space, low to the ground. Let's meet with the knees to the left. Linger there. Slide your arms up till they're in line with your shoulders. And look at your right fingertips. Let's free our wings, the back body. Curl your right fingertips and bend your right elbow. And with an open right palm, slide your hand across your chest. So you're touching your chest, you're touching your arm, reaching past your left fingertips, and then a big floppy body circle, returning to the right side. Do that 2 more times. Rhythm of your own breath. Reach, big floppy circle, acknowledging, claiming the space around you. It's a nice way to remind yourself that you have the right to take up space. And extend, big body circle. Pause here, a couple cycles of breath. Let the shoulders be heavy. Bring your knees on up to center. Other side, lower your knees to the right. Look at your left fingertips. Curl the fingertips in. Bend the elbow. Slide your hand across your chest. Reach past your right fingertips and claim in the space. Exploring the space, whichever of those resonates with you. Up and around. One more. Right, you're reaching left fingertips past the right fingertips. Big floppy circle. Pause here, a couple cycles of breath. Breathing front, back, and sides evenly as you can, bringing your knees to center. Straighten your legs and legs wide, arms wide. Palms stay up. Rotate the toes inward. So you're starting the rotation from the upper thigh bones, maybe even higher up in your waist. Exhale, palms down, toes out. 2 more times, palms up, toes in. Palms down, toes out. 1 more. And then bring it to center. Bring your legs close together. Reach your arms overhead. Big body yawn. And exhale, bending the knees. Hug them into your chest. 3 little circles around each direction. Either roll on over to one side or 3 rock and rolls forward and back, with or without hands. With or without hands. Make your way to a seated position and then transition onto your hands and your knees. Let's prep the wrist. So as I prep the wrist, thigh bone straight up and down, Wrist below shoulders, but you can change the angle here at any time. Wrist in front of shoulders or closer to your knees. Walking your hands to different parts of the journey to external rotation. You're just pausing for a moment and returning to center, and then internal rotation while your wrists are in extension. Sense of curiosity as you explore movements that are not in our regular repertoire throughout our modern day living. Fingertips forward. And now, back of the hands. Okay, fingertips towards your knees and here. So you may need to walk your hands closer to your knees for less intensity. Same thing here, pausing, noticing, no judgments, and a soft face. Let's meet with the fingertips facing each other. And then make light fist. Open and close 5 times. 3, 2, and 1. Stand on your knees. Roll the wrist around 3 times each direction. Then shake it out, up and down. That's a reminder not to take yourself too seriously. And we'll meet hands and knees. Cat-cows. Explore cat-cow in a different way than you normally do, having the knees and feet together. Thigh bones straight up and down, arm bones straight up and down. Exhale, looking inward. And inhale, coming into your cow, melt the spine down, shoulders from the ears. Round through the spine, press the ground away with your hands and the tops of your feet and your knees. And come into cow. 2 more times like that. In this variation, let the ribs disappear upward into the body as you come into cat. Make sure you're melting the space in between your heart as you come into cow. Neutral spine, this time, keep the knees close together. You can separate them a little and bring your feet as wide as the mat. And same thing here, cat-cow, not your usual way. I like to start off warming up and moving through different planes than we are used to. 1 more. Neutral spine. Bring your toes together, and this time knees wide, so it's almost like a happy, or rather a child's pose variation. 3 to 4 times like this. And 1 more. And bring it to center. Knees straight below your hips, curl the toes under, round the spine. And as you keep the spine rounded, bring the hips back. Breathe in here. For another 3, 2, and 1. Float it forward. Walk your knees back about 6 inches. Curl the toes under, bent knee, down dog. Bring the hips up and back. Pedal it out, move in any way that feels good to you. Keep pressing the hands down and forward, pressing through the inner hands. Now lift your heels, bend your knees, and reach your pelvic floor to the sky as you press your hands down and forward. So you're bringing your heart and your chest and your ribs towards your thighs. Now you can stay here or lengthen the legs a little or a lot without changing the shape of your spine. So if your spine begins to change shape, keep those knees bent. Stay here or lengthen the heels towards the ground, towards energetically picking up your toes. Keep pressing the hands down and forward. Keep those armpits from collapsing for 3, 2, and 1. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step your right foot forward. Right towards having your right thigh bone parallel to the ground. Left fingertips come a little forward and wide, maybe off the mat. Keep the top of the left thigh bone softening upward so you're not pressing it down. So you maintain a sense of buoyancy in the hips. Then reach your right arm up, turning your ribs to the right. The gaze could be down, sideways, or up. I prefer down right now. For another 3, 2, and 1. Both hands down to the ground. Step it back into your downward facing dog. And then step your left foot forward. Adjust the left foot so the left thigh bone is towards straight up and down. Top of the right thigh bone, softening upward. Right fingertips forward and wide, left arm up. Your choice, fingers together, fingers spread wide. Depending on how you feel today. Gaze down, sideways or up. Press the ground away. Make sure you're not collapsing, that you're not just propping yourself up. For 3, 2, and 1. Both hands down to the ground. Step it back. Downward facing dog. Lift the heels. Bend the knees. Step your right foot forward. Back knee down on a blanket or double up the mat. Then bring your hands to your hips. So for this lunge, we'll let the hips fall forward, but not collapsing into the lower back. So begin to energetically hug front heel to back knee, and then bend through the front knee, and then keep the frontal hip points lifted. So you might feel a little bit more stretch in the front of the hip, a little bit more toning in the left glute. Take your hands to your hips, lift the armpits and collarbones back, bringing the shoulder blades closer in towards each other, even the inner elbows closer in towards each other. Good, now maintain that hugging in, lift the frontal hip points, ribs soften and press the hands down, and a little bit of curling up over a high bar, not a low bar, right? So we don't want to dump into that lower back. Lift the back of the heart, take the sides of the throat back, keep the back of the skull nice and long for 3, 2, and 1, slowly releasing. Lower the hands down to the ground, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step your left foot forward. Back knee down, pad up however you need. Hands to the hips. And be mindful again that you're not collapsing here. Hug front foot to back knee. Lift the frontal hip points. Tone the right glute. Hands to the hips, lift the armpits, roll the collarbones open, and hug like butterfly wings, closer in towards each other, press down, and then lift the back of the heart. Ribs soften in, so you're curling over a high bar, not a low bar. For 3, 2, and 1, slowly releasing. Hands down to the ground. Step it back into downward facing dog. Bend the knees. Walk your hands back until your heels touch the ground. Into a forward fold. You can even sway side to side. You could grab onto opposite elbow with opposite hand. The hands gently suggesting coming closer to the ground, elbows closer to the ground. Shake your head out, yes and no. And release your arms, press down to the feet, roll it on up. 1 vertebrae at a time. Head is the last thing to come on up. Once you're up, 3 shoulder circles back. Bring the feet wider. And rinse cycle. So if you're shaking off, it's Friday here. Shaking off the week. Rinse cycle. Letting go. Out through the fingertips. If it's comfortable for you, you can let your hands gently tap the lower back. Or you can swing your arms higher up, pat them to the back. We're doing all that you did this past week for another 3, more than a week, 2, and 1. Let the arms settle to center, bringing your feet inner hip width apart and walk to the top of the mat. Mountain pose. Feet could be together or separated about hip width, whatever's comfortable for you. Reach your arms straight out in front of you. Keep rooting down to the heels and tone the bottom sides of your glute down towards your heels. Make light fists. Keep squeezing the arms towards straight. Side to the throat back. Some scapular alternating circles, alternating scapular circling here. For another 3, 2, and 1, reverse it, other way for another 3, 2, and 1. Release the arms. Reach your arms out in front of you. Lift the armpits, and then plug the upper arm bones back into the shoulder sockets for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. Let the arms dangle to the side. Same thing here, but interlace the fingers. Interlace the fingers, press the palms forward. Squeeze your arms towards straight, lift the armpits up, plug back for 3, 2, 1. Now root down through the legs and lift your arms up overhead. Squeezing your outer arms towards your ears. Get longer from your inner elbows all the way up through the thumb side and pinky side of your hand as evenly as you can for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly release your arms down. This time, take your right hand to your right hip, similar how we did in the low lunge. So you're gonna lift the right armpit up, roll the shoulder back, squeeze inner right elbow in towards midline. Stay strong through the legs. Legs could be together or apart. Left arm reaches up, squeeze it towards straight. Lengthen the tailbone and soften the sides of the waist, ribs back. Lift the chest without the ribs popping out. And now lean on over to the right. Keep those legs energized here. Stay here or about 6 little bounces to the right. You're turning your ribs more to the ceiling towards the left for 3, 2, inviting in a sense of bouncing back, and 1. Come back on up and release, mountain pose. Left hand to left hip, lifting the armpits. Roll the left collarbone upward and back and hug the left butterfly wing into midline. Right arm up, squeeze the right arm towards straight. Energize the legs, press down through the heels, long spine, lean on over to the left. Tailbone down, sides of the waist back. You're turning your ribs more to the right. Stay here or about 6 to 8 little bounces for another 3, 2, and 1. Bring it all the way back on up to center and release your arms. Reach your arms up, inhale, palms could touch at the top. Exhale, eagle arms, right elbow underneath. If this is too much, grab onto opposite hand, opposite shoulder with opposite hand, or bring your forearms together. Choosing your variation. Squeeze the elbows together and then lift the elbows up. Let the scapula lift up and exhale. Shoulders away from ears, elbows towards the belly. 2 more times like that. Lift up and lower down. 1 more time, lift up, lower down, and let's stay here. Shoulders down, and then bring your hands closer in towards your face, elbows down towards your belly, and energetically hug your elbows close together. Back of the skull nice and long for 3, 2, 1. Slowly releasing. Reach the arms up and other side. Left elbow underneath. Again, give yourself a hug or bring your forearms together. Make sure you're rooted down through the feet, long through the spine. Lift the elbows up and then lower down. 2 more times like that. Up and down. 1 more time. Lower the elbows down. Now keep lowering the elbows energetically down. Lift your lungs up. So as you create equal strength in each direction, you're also creating equal stretch. Thumbs closer in towards your face. Hug the elbows in towards each other for 3. 3-dimensional breathing. 2 and 1. Slowly releasing. Reach the arms up and by your side, finding your mountain pose. Either the feet are together or hip width distance apart. A couple of sun A's. You could always make them your own. Root down, rise up, inhale. And as you exhale, hands to your heart and fold forward. Come into a halfway lift. Today I prefer a higher halfway lift to activate the back body. So my hands, my fingertips will be more to my upper shins, lifting the shoulders higher than the hips. On your exhale, step back into plank pose. High push-up position. Think up. As you inhale, keep thinking up. Exhale, with or without knees lower all the way down. First round, let's do a locust. So you're lengthening away from the ground. And then hands down, curl the toes under, however way you want to transition into downward facing dog. Press hands down, feet down, and lengthen your spine. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Bottom of your exhale, step, hop, or float to the top. Halfway lift, shoulders higher than the hips. And exhale, forward fold. Root down, rise up, extended mountain pose. And exhale, arms to your sides or hands to your heart. 2 more. Root down, rise up. Exhale and fold. Halfway lift, whatever variation you like. Exhale, step back into planks. Pause here, find your mountain pose in plank, and exhale, lowering down. Locust, cobra, up dog, whatever you need. Downward facing dog. 2 cycles of breath, pressing your hands down and your feet down. Lengthen through your spine. And inhale, lift the heels, bend the knees, exhale. Step, hop, or float. Halfway lift on your inhale and exhale, forward fold. Root down, rise up, extended, and exhale, arms to your side or hands to your heart. One more time, inhale, and exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. Pause on the inhale. Exhale, lowering down. Locust, cobra, or upward facing dog. Press the hands down and energetically pull them back. Downward facing dog. About 2 breaths here. Make sure that your armpits are not collapsing. Melt your heart back. And then inhale. Lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhale, step, hop, or float to the top. Halfway lift and forward fold. Root down, rising up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Keep your feet hip-width distance apart or bring them together for a variation of chair pose. First, release your arms to the sides and then lift your arms up, palms striding forward. So kind of how like we did in the low lunge, keeping the glutes engaged, lift the frontal hip points, lift the rib cage, and lift the back of the heart, take the arm bones back. Now bend the knees, bring the hips back only as far as you could keep the arm bones straight up and down. So it might not be a lot. Press down through your heels. So hips only as far back as you could take the arm bones back. And breathe, soften the ribs in, belly in and up towards your head, back of the skull nice and long. For another 3, 2, and 1, standing tall, and release your arms to your sides. Flowing it down, inhale, and exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. On your exhale, step it back into downward facing dog. Press hands down and feet down. Lift your heels, bend your knees, step your right foot forward. Adjust however you need to have your right thigh bone parallel to the ground. Top of the left thigh bone lifts up. Hug the legs in towards each other, bring your hands to your hips. How we did in the beginning in one of the first lunges. Lift the armpits, roll the collarbones open, squeeze the inner elbows in towards each other. From the core of the pelvis, press down to the legs, press the hands down to the pelvis, and curl over that high bar. Belly in and up, legs energized, stay here, or sweep the arms up, maybe palms touch. As you root down, let the rib cage lift up to the fingertips. For another 3, 2, and 1. Hands down to the ground, step it back, downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, stepping your left foot forward. Adjust your left foot so the left thigh bone is parallel towards the ground. Hug the legs in towards each other and bring your hands to your hips. Like we did before, from the core of the pelvis, press down through the legs, hands press down to lift up, hug the inner elbows closer in towards each other, shoulder blades towards each other, lift the back of the heart, curl over a high bar, sides of the throat back, stay here, or reach the arms up, maybe palms touch, lift up from your rib cage all the way up to your fingertips for 3, press the left heel, 2, and 1. Release, hands down to the ground, and step it back into downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, exhale, step hop, float, halfway lift, and forward fold. Root down, rise up, extended, and exhale, arms to your side or hands to your heart. Tree pose. Let's try tree without using our hands, but feel free to use your hands if you like. Shift the weight into your right foot. Trying not to use your hands. Hug your left knee in towards your chest, then bringing the left knee to the side, and then bring it back to center. We'll do a little prepping and left foot down. Again, left knee up, open to the side, center, and then lower down. Make sure you're not dumping into this right hip. Hug that outer right hip. One more time here to the side. Now you're hugging your left heel in towards your groin. Wherever it lands, let it land. You can adjust however you need. You could always use your hand if you want. Hug the outer right hip in, energizing the standing leg. Hug the legs in towards each other. Hands to your heart, stay here, or reach your arms up into any kind of tree you want to be. You can squeeze your arms inward, squeeze them towards straight if that's a variation you're taking. For another 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing your arms to the side and try to mindfully bring your left knee to center and lower it down to the ground. Other side, you can take hands to hips or let the arms be dangly and relaxed to the side. Be mindful that you're hugging that outer left hip in so you're not getting too sassy with that left hip. Hug it in. You can be sassy a little bit and then find yourself hugging it in. Right knee in, right knee wide. Right knee center, right foot down. 2 more times. Right knee in, right knee side. Right knee forward and right foot down. 1 more time. Meaning with the right knee to the right, and you're hugging the right heel in towards your bottom, landing on the inner left leg. Again, there's a tendency to hang out in that left hip. Hug that outer left hip in. Woo, it's all good to dance. Squeeze the 2 together. Stay here or bring your hands to the heart. Any kind of tree you want to be. You could open your arms. It doesn't have to be the same tree you did on the other side, but it feels good for me to do the same variation. Again, pressing down through the standing leg, especially the left heel. Sides of the waist back, belly and ribs in for 3. Breathing 2 and 1. Slowly release the arms to the side. Right knee floats up to center and lower down. Feel free to shake it out if you need. Let's meet top of the mat. We'll flow it down. Inhale and exhale. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Stepping back into plank pose. Lowering down whatever you need. Cobra, up dog, locust, and downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up. Turn the left side of your pelvis. That's your bottom pelvis to the right to initiate opening up through the hips. Bend your right knee. And like you did in tree, hug your right heel, though, into the right side of your seat. Drop your tailbone to the front plane of the body. And ribs soften to the back body for 3. So you're not dumping into your lower back. 2, 1. Stepping your right foot forward. Spin your back foot flat. Either heel to arch alignment or heel to heel, your choice. Bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your right leg. Now bend your right knee. So do a little rotation here. Right knee towards your right big toe. All right? As long as you have healthy knees, this could be healthy to practice this. And then bring your right knee to the right pinky toe. Then straighten out your right leg. And so just so you know, if you have healthy knees, your knees are not going to blow up from exploring some natural movement here in the knees. Only if your knees are feeling healthy. And then reverse. Pinky toe, right big toe, and straighten. Pinky toe, big toe, and straighten 1 more time. And straighten. Now bend towards the middle toes and a little bit more towards the pinky toe. Find your warrior 2. So hug the heels in towards each other so you feel the inner thighs lighting up, inviting more of a sense of buoyancy here. And soften the long left side of your ribs and belly to the left. Soft gaze past the middle finger of your front hand for 3, 2, and 1. Float your hands down, step it back. Downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up. Turn open from your bottom right side of your pelvis. Turns to the left. Press the hands down. Then bend the left knee. Left heel hugs into your bottom. Drop your tailbone to the front plane of your body and soften the ribs to the back plane for 3, 2, and 1. Left foot steps forward. Hands to hips as you come into warrior two stance. I'm going to turn around. Straighten out the front leg. Left knee bends towards left big toe. Pinky toe and straighten. Good couple more rounds. Big toe, pinky toe, and straighten. One more. Big toe, pinky toe, straighten. Keep that back leg clear and strong. Reverse it. Pinky toe, big toe, straighten. Pinky toe, big toe, straighten. One more time. Pinky toe, big toe, and straighten. Bend that front knee towards the middle toes, more towards the pinky toes, arms out to the side. Hug your inner thighs together. Invite an inner body brightness as you soften right side of your belly, ribs, and chest towards the right, and turn your head, your gaze over the left fingertips for 3, 2, and 1. Float your hands down. Step it back into downward facing dog. Taking a flow in between, whatever you like. It could even be a rolling wave, even though we didn't introduce those at the beginning. And then inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, bottom of your exhale, step, hop, or float to the top. Halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward, root down, rise up. And exhale, arms to the side, hands to the heart if you like. Pause and notice. We don't have to plow through all the postures at once. Let's take a moment to feel the effects of our efforts so far. Staying at the top of the mat, turn to face me. So turn the direction in which you can face me. And we're going to make our way into half moon pose. So you're going to step your right foot towards the center of the mat. So you're going to turn your right toes out, center of the mat. Block coffee table if you need. Left hand to left hip. Begin to shift the weight into your right foot, or whatever foot facing me, so whatever foot's in the middle. And energize the leg that's lifting and the foot that's lifting. Fingertips can be to the ground or a block or a coffee table. If it's fair and friendly for you, you can begin to straighten the bottom leg. Or it can be nice, you recruit more muscles when you keep that bottom knee straight. The bottom leg bent, bottom knee bent. Left arm up to the sky if that feels good. For another 3, 2, 1. Hand to hip, bend the knee, reach back for the landing. Stepping to the side of the mat you were before. We'll do a little funky dancing penguin to the other side. So feet could be together, palms facing down, so you're extending the wrist. Begin to shake the shoulders. All right, just a reminder to not take yourself too seriously. And then you're gonna penguin walk sideways to the other end of the mat. Bring all the way to the other end. Surprise, funky dancing penguin. All right, other leg, center, what just happened? Bending that knee. Shift the weight into that foot that's in the middle of the mat until you're able to lift up the other leg, energize the leg and the foot as soon as it begins to lift. Fingertips to block, coffee table, couch, whatever is nearby. Stay here, or you can reach the top arm up, sides of the waist back for 3, 2, and 1. Hand to hip, bend the knee. Woo, back to where you started on that end. Reconnect to the breath. Funky dancing penguin. Walking sideways to the original front of the mat and turn to face the front. Mountain pose. Standing back into the familiar. Root down, rise up, extended, weight to play, and exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, plank pose. Inhale, pause, sides of the waist, reaching up, lift the back of the skull, and on your next exhale, slowly lowering down. Forehead to the ground. Arms by your sides and palms facing up. Okay, tops of the feet on the ground. Make sure your knees are pointing straight down. Squeeze your arms straight, but then lift the shoulder blades onto your back. Press your hands and feet down and lengthen your head and your chest away from the mat. Keep squeezing your arms and legs towards straight. Press the back of the hands down, pressing the tops of the feet down. Dropping the chin slightly in towards your chest. So the back of the skull stays nice and long. For another 3, belly and ribs soften to the back body. 2, and 1, slowly releasing. Hands by your sides. Push yourself up onto hands and knees, or you can roll all the way onto your back. We'll meet on the back. Find your mountain pose on your back. Squeeze your legs towards straight. Energize your legs. Reaching your sitting bones towards your heels. Back of the skull nice and long. Right knee comes in. And we'll come into a half happy baby variation. So I'm going to cross my right forearm from my inner right shin to the outer edge of the foot, or the knee could come in towards the chest. So you could use, or you could have on the hand on the outside. Interlace your hands, your fingers to the top of your right foot. If this is not accessible, use a strap. I'm softening my right knee more towards my right armpit rather than towards my chest. That's what I meant to say. Relax your shoulders, and then best you can, bringing the right knee now towards the ground on the right side, and press the hand and foot together, hands and foot. If it's more comfortable for you, you could hold on with one hand. Press the two together, strong mountain left leg for another 3, 2, 1. Slowly releasing as you bend both knees into your chest. Hug them in, rock side to side. Switching sides, right leg forward. Whatever variation of happy baby you like. So you could start off bringing the left knee towards the left armpit for a couple cycles of breath. And then bring it out wide. For this variation, my left hand is on the outside, my outer left foot. And I'm pressing, pulling down as I press my inner left foot up to the sky. Make sure your right leg is coming straight out from your right hip. Another 3, 2, and 1. Bending both knees into the chest, hug them in. And find your mountain pose, straighten both legs. Energize the legs, shoulder blades on the back. And now bend the knees. You can do rock and roll or roll to one side and come onto your hands and your knees. This is a variation of like toe breaker pose meets cat. So bring your feet together, but knees slightly wider than your hips. Take your wrist in front of your knees. Make it a round through the spine, like a cat here. And then press your knees into your wrist and press your hands down and forward. Breathing here. Make sure you're taking the sides of the waist, ribs, belly back for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Make your way into a dolphin pose. For this variation, place your elbows slightly more narrow than your shoulders. For this variation, you can do whatever you like. I'm going to bring my palms together, spread the fingers, and press the knife edge of my hands, the pinky side edge, to the ground. Lift the armpits, melt the heart, and then melt the ribs and belly up. Curl your toes under and bring the hips back and then up. Keep the knees bent if you need to. So I'm pressing through the center of my wrist, center of my forearm, center of my elbows, heart back. Walk the feet in a little. So I'm melting my heart and my chest towards my thighs. If it's accessible to you, and you can keep the spine the same shape, begin to lengthen the legs. If you like, you're going to also walk your feet in until your shoulders are over your elbows and breathe. Press the ground away. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Child's pose. You can flip the palms up, give yourself a pat on the back, and walk the elbows slightly more forward. Reconnect with your breath. And hands and knees on your back for a bridge pose. Placing your feet hip width. Bend your elbows like robot arms. Lengthen the size of your body and snuggle your shoulder blades to the back of the heart. Back of the skull long. Press elbows, shoulders, head down. Press feet down, lift the hips. So you're breathing and expanding your chest towards your chin, but the chin's not collapsing down. Stay here or grab onto the outer edges of the mat, flip the knuckles underneath and pull the mat apart as you snuggle your shoulder blades even more in towards each other, or interlace your hands underneath. Again, you might have to snuggle shoulder blades closer into the back of the heart and press the fists down, the shoulders down, head down. Roof of the mouth down, press the feet down. Energetically hug your heels in towards your bottom, and then keep that length of the knees away from you. Make sure your ribs aren't popping out for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing. Feet wider, knees rest in towards each other. One hand to the heart, one to the belly. One more of those, one more back bend, or you can make your way into wheel pose. I'm gonna start off the same. I'll do wheel, cue you, elbows wide, side of the body long. Press the elbows, shoulders, head down, press the feet down, lift the hips. Any variation you like in bridge or wheel, placing the fingertips slightly underneath the shoulders and wide. Fingertips could be slightly more to the outer edge of the mat. Press the feet down, press the hands down, and curl up. I'm pressing my hands down, feet down, and I'm curling like the same action over a high bar. So I'm energizing the bottom fibers of my glutes, and I'm melting my heart back. For 3, squeeze the arms towards straight. 2, and 1. Tucking the chin. Make your way on down. Knees rest in. One hand to your heart, one to your belly. Let the breath settle. Arms to the side. Windshield wiper your legs, your knees side to side. Great. Let the knees lower to the right. Pausing here. Knees to center, to the left. Pausing here. Knees to center, feet hip width. Right ankle over left thigh bones. Supine pigeon here, or hug left knee to left shoulder. Make sure one side's not hiking up, and distribute the weight evenly through your hips. Slowly releasing, switching sides, left ankle over right thigh, right knee in. Keep those hips even. Relax the shoulders and your face. And slowly releasing. Any other pose, shape, movement that will help round out your practice. 4 to 6 cycles of breath. I'm gonna do a happy baby. Maybe a rockabye, side to side happy baby. And we'll meet in resting pose. Whatever shape helps you settle more deeply into yourself, you are supported. No longer controlling the breath. Let the ground support you as you allow your body to melt across the floor, softening from the inside out. Relaxing your face. And now stay here as long or as little as you like. You begin to deepen your breath. Bring movement back to fingers and toes. Gently turn your head side to side. And with awareness, Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug of gratitude for this radical act of self-care. Roll on over to one side, pause. Head is the last thing to come on up. Comfortable seated position, eyes could be closed or soft gaze. Overlapping your hands on top of your heart. Thinking of one thing in your life that you are grateful for, no matter how big or small. And we'll end together with one cleansing breath. First, empty out all the air from your lungs. Inhale through your nose, fill up. Exhale, ha. And as always, gratitude for practicing together. May it all be of benefit to us and everybody else around us. Namaste.